Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into quantum cryptography. It's a topic that's been piquing your interest lately, especially its impact on Southeast Asia.
Oh,
And you've sent in some fascinating articles and research, so well, let's explore it together, see what we can uncover.
yeah, it's definitely a hot topic. And for good reason. I mean, the world is becoming more and more reliant on digital technologies, right?
Right.
And Southeast Asia is really at the forefront of that whole transformation. But, with this increased connectivity comes, well, increased vulnerability too.
Yeah, that's it. It's like every day there's a news story about some major cyber attack, and really makes you wonder, are our current security methods even keeping up?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
You see, traditional encryption methods, the ones that we use to protect our online banking and, all sorts of sensitive data, they rely on complex mathematical problems. And for a long time, that was enough. But the
Yeah.
game is changing now with these quantum computers coming onto the scene.
And that's where quantum cryptography comes in, right?
It's exactly.
It's like we're entering a whole new realm of cybersecurity.
Yeah.
It almost feels like science fiction becoming reality from what I've read.
It does a bit, doesn't it? Um, So instead of relying on that computational complexity, quantum cryptography uses the principles of quantum mechanics to secure information. It's a complete paradigm shift. In fact, one of your sources, Dr. Andy Sukarno, put it this way. We're moving from trusting computational difficulty to trusting the laws of physics.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Can you give us a concrete example of how this actually works?
Sure. So one of the most promising applications is quantum key distribution, or QKD. So imagine you want to send a secure message.
Okay.
With QKD, you would use photons, which are tiny particles of light, to generate and share a secret key. And the really cool part is that any attempt to intercept these photons would actually alter their quantum state.
Interesting.
So any eavesdropping would be immediately detectable. It makes the system incredibly secure.
So it's like having an unbreakable lock where the key itself is protected by the laws of physics.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost too good to be true. But, we mentioned quantum computers earlier. Are those the skeleton key that could potentially break our existing systems?
That's the worry. Yeah. So quantum computers are becoming more and more powerful, and they have the potential to crack the mathematical codes that underpin our current encryption methods. This is what some are calling the quantum apocalypse.
Oh, wow.
It's not really a matter of if, but when these computers become powerful enough to pose a serious threat.
That's a sobering thought. And from what we've seen in your research, this threat is being taken very seriously. The global investment in these quantum-safe technologies is just skyrocketing. One report projected that the market will reach over $2 billion by 2032.
Yeah, that's a clear indication that governments and businesses worldwide are recognizing the urgency of this. They're investing heavily in research and development to make sure they're prepared for a post-quantum world. And that brings us to Southeast Asia, a region that's particularly vulnerable.
Yes. Southeast Asia is in the middle of a digital revolution, and Indonesia, especially, seems to be facing an alarming number of cyber threats. One statistic we came across from Indonesia's National Cyber and Encryption Agency, the BSSN, was really concerning. Over 200 million cyber threats were detected in 2022 alone.
That's a huge number, and it really highlights the urgency. As Indonesia continues to build its digital infrastructure, it becomes an even bigger target for cyber criminals. And without adequate security measures, the consequences could be devastating.
Yeah. Cybersecurity analyst Ileana Santoso made a strong point in one of the articles. She said that implementing quantum cryptography will be critical for Indonesia as it scales its digital infrastructure. And she went on to talk about how it's crucial for everything from e-government initiatives to protecting financial transactions. It really puts things into perspective.
She's right to emphasize that. I mean, the potential damage from a successful cyber attack on Indonesia's digital infrastructure could be immense. Think about the economic impact, the disruption to essential services, and just, the erosion of public trust in the government.
So what can Indonesia and the wider Southeast Asia region do to mitigate this risk? Where do they even begin? It seems like they're racing against the clock.
That's where things get really interesting. Fortunately, they don't have to start from scratch. There are already global leaders in quantum cryptography who can, provide valuable insights and lessons learned. China, for instance, has made remarkable progress, building a quantum communication network that stretches over 4,000 kilometers.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It seems like they're really recognizing the strategic importance of this technology and investing heavily to become a global leader.
Absolutely. And it's not just China. The U.S. is also making significant advancements, and both the European Union and Japan are pouring resources into quantum secure systems. So there's a growing global momentum.
So this begs the question, can Southeast Asia keep pace with these advancements and become a key player in this emerging market? They have a vibrant tech sector and a clear need for robust cybersecurity solutions. But is that enough?
Well, that's what we'll delve into next. The potential is certainly there, but it's going to require a concerted effort from governments, businesses, and educational institutions to make it happen.
So it's almost like Southeast Asia is at this crossroads. They have an incredible opportunity to not just catch up, but to potentially leapfrog ahead in this field.
Yeah, I think so.
But where do they go from here? What are some concrete steps they can take?
Well, I think there are a few key areas that need attention. First and foremost, governments have got to play a crucial role.
They need to create a supportive regulatory environment that encourages investment and innovation in quantum cryptography.
Right.
This includes things like streamlining regulations, providing tax incentives, and establishing clear standards for data protection.
So it's about setting the stage, right? Creating the right conditions for this technology to flourish.
Exactly.
Sounds like a long-term strategy.
It is, yeah. And it goes beyond just setting up those regulations, right? Governments also need to invest in research and development, funding university programs, partnering with industry leaders, and even setting up dedicated research centers. That could all focus on quantum cryptography. I mean, that would really accelerate progress.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it can't just be like a government-led initiative, right? Businesses have to be involved too.
Oh, absolutely. Businesses really need to recognize the value of this technology and be willing to invest in adopting it.
Right. That means partnering with universities and research institutions, incorporating quantum-safe solutions into their products and services. I mean, even developing their own in-house expertise.
I see a theme here.
Yeah.
Collaboration.
Definitely.
Across different sectors. And speaking of collaboration, what about educational institutions? What role do they play in this quantum revolution?
Oh, they are. They're absolutely critical. Educational institutions need to adapt their curriculum, right, to equip the next generation with the skills they need to thrive in a quantum world. This means developing specialized courses in quantum computing, cryptography, and cybersecurity, and providing opportunities for hands-on research and development.
So it's about building a workforce that's not just quantum aware, but quantum ready.
Exactly. Yeah. And this education shouldn't be limited to, just scientists and engineers either. We need to raise awareness about quantum cybersecurity across all sectors of society. From policymakers to business leaders, everyone needs to understand the implications of this technology and how to prepare for it.
So it's not just about building the technology itself. It's about building an entire ecosystem around it.
Yeah.
That's pretty massive. Are there any specific examples of countries or regions that are doing this well? That Southeast Asia can kind of look to for inspiration?
Yeah, there are definitely some best practices emerging. I mean, we already talked about China's impressive progress with their quantum communication network.
All right.
They have invested heavily in building infrastructure and developing that expertise, and they're already seeing results. But it's not just about these large-scale infrastructure projects,
Yeah.
Singapore, for instance, is focusing on developing a skilled workforce and fostering a culture of innovation in the quantum space. They've actually launched several initiatives aimed at attracting talent and encouraging startups in this field.
Interesting. So there are different approaches. But the key takeaway is that a multi-pronged strategy is needed. It's about investing in research and development, nurturing a skilled workforce, creating that supportive regulatory environment, and, fostering collaboration across the board.
You got it. It's a complex challenge, but it's one that Southeast Asia needs to address and address it head on. The stakes are, they're simply too high to ignore.
If we go back to what Juliana Santoso was saying, about the critical need for quantum cryptography in Indonesia, it seems like the writing is on the wall. This isn't some distant futuristic concept. It's a pressing issue that needs attention now.
Right.
But let's be realistic. What are some potential roadblocks that Southeast Asia might face on this journey? What are the challenges that could hinder their progress?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's important to acknowledge that, this isn't going to be a walk in the park. One of the biggest challenges, honestly, is likely to be funding. Developing and deploying quantum cryptography technologies requires significant investment. And it might be difficult for some countries in the region to allocate the necessary resources, especially given all the competing priorities that they have.
So it's not just about political will, it's also about like financial feasibility. Are there
Exactly.
other potential hurdles?
Another challenge is going to be, well, the availability of expertise. Quantum cryptography is a highly specialized field, and there's a global shortage of skilled professionals.
Yeah.
Attracting and retaining top talent in this area will be crucial for Southeast Asia's success,
Hmm.
and that will require competitive salaries, attractive research opportunities, and a supportive ecosystem.
It sounds like building this ecosystem is going to be like a key factor in determining whether Southeast Asia can really become a leader in this space.
Absolutely. It's not enough to just have the technology. You need the people, the infrastructure, the policies, and the culture of innovation to support it.
And this brings us to a crucial question for you, as someone who's deeply interested in this topic. Considering all the factors that we've discussed,
Yeah.
what specific actions do you think Indonesia and its neighboring countries should prioritize, to ensure their digital future is secure in a quantum world?
Yeah.
It's a lot to consider. It feels like we're talking about a fundamental shift in how Southeast Asia approaches cybersecurity,
Yeah.
It's not just about reacting to threats anymore. It's about proactively building like a future-proof digital landscape.
Exactly. It requires a long-term vision, a willingness to embrace new technologies, and a commitment to collaboration, across different sectors. It is a challenge, but it's also a really incredible opportunity for Southeast Asia to position themselves as a global leader in quantum cryptography.
Yeah. Thinking about those potential roadblocks, are there any concerns about this technology being accessible only to like the wealthy or to countries with more advanced tech capabilities? Could this create a digital divide?
That's a valid concern,
Yeah.
and it's definitely something that policymakers need to address proactively. Ensuring equitable access to quantum cryptography is crucial.
Right.
This might involve, international collaboration, knowledge sharing initiatives, and maybe even, financial assistance to help bridge the gap. Leaving developing countries behind would ultimately undermine global security efforts, right?
Yeah. It's a reminder that these technological advancements, while exciting,
Yeah.
they need to be approached with a sense of responsibility
Yeah.
and a commitment to inclusivity.
Absolutely. And alongside accessibility, another hurdle is the need for standardization. Right now there are various approaches to quantum cryptography being developed.
Right.
Establishing clear standards and protocols is essential to ensure, interoperability between the different systems.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a world where secure quantum networks can connect seamlessly,
Yeah.
across borders. That's the goal we should be aiming for.
That makes sense. Without standardization, I mean, we risk creating a fragmented landscape, where systems can't communicate, and it defeats the whole purpose of a secure global network.
It sounds like a lot of coordination and collaboration is needed.
It is. It's a complex undertaking, but the potential benefits are enormous. I mean, a standardized, interoperable quantum cryptography infrastructure could revolutionize how we secure data, protect privacy, and facilitate trust in the digital world. And for Southeast Asia, being an active participant in shaping these standards could give them a significant advantage in the long run.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We explored the potential of quantum cryptography, the threat of quantum computers,
Yeah.
the unique challenges and opportunities for Southeast Asia, and even some of the potential roadblocks on this path to a quantum secure future. It's been fascinating.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah. And for you, as someone who's clearly invested in understanding this, I think the key takeaway is this. Quantum cryptography isn't just a technical issue. It's a strategic imperative. For Indonesia and its neighboring countries, embracing this technology and proactively addressing the challenges we have discussed, well, that could be the key to unlocking a secure and prosperous digital future.
Well said. You've given us all a lot to think about. I have to admit, I started this deep dive feeling a bit intimidated by all the complexities of quantum technology.
Yeah.
But you've done a fantastic job of breaking it down and highlighting why it matters.
Oh, well, thank you.
Not just in a theoretical sense, but for the future of Southeast Asia and the world.
Well, it's been my pleasure. I believe that knowledge is power. The more we understand about the potential benefits and the challenges of quantum cryptography, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this exciting new era.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. A huge thank you to you for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of quantum cryptography.